John Richard Hughes.
Postpone until July 1st.
D.B. Theophilus.
Reason?
The actuality of the commandment thou shalt not kill.
There are other commandments he is not so obedient of. Remember the Sabbath, keep it holy. He disregards the Sabbath by holding meetings at the rink. Mr. Roberts, you represent these men, do you not?
I do, sir.
And are these men patriots? Do they not care about their king and country? Would they not fight if a German attacked their family?
Conscientious objections are admitted by Act of Parliament. Consciences have never been decided by a hypothetical question. These conscientious objectors have made up their minds. They have spoken to their own consciences, and those consciences have decided they cannot take up combatant or any other form of military service.
But suppose a ruffian, like the German emperor, came over and dethroned our king. What would they say?
That is another purely hypothetical question. I do not see that it would make much difference to their principles.
We've seen many men during those tribunals, and they've tried every excuse in the book. Run through the names, Councillor.
James Davis.
He asked for a certificate of absolute exemption because he was in charge of a number of farms which would have to be given up if he was taken. Not exempted.
Benjamin Hamilton.
The Jewish solicitor, one of a large army of foreigners who get into this country and want clearing out. Rejected.
Harry Atwell.
Dear son, I'm so proud that you're following our belief and standing strong by them. Son, I am happy that you're refusing to go to war, but you gotta think, this is not just for you.
Yes, impertinent young man. When asked what he thought about his friends who were fighting, he replied, I hold no brief for other men's conscience.
Refused.
Naturally.
Oswald Thomas.
Refused.
W. Weinberg.
God's teaching is to treat everyone the way that you wish to be treated. And unlike these warmongering tin soldiers, I believe that statement to be true.
Another Jew stated his religion forbade him seeing a dead body. Not exempted.
Charles Thomas Chambers.
The railway clerk. On one hand, he wanted to remain to look after his terminally ill mother, and the other because of his conscience. Refused on both grounds.
John Alfred Lewis.
Dear my love, I write with a heavy heart to inform you that my plea for exemption has been refused. My beliefs have been simply sneered at and brushed off as if it's nothing more than a crumb on a table of this great nation. My will remains strong, despite the constant wrangling of the so-called noble men.
The teacher of all things, instilling these views into the good children of Pentre Bark. Refused.
T. Evans.
I'm afraid the town's perception of our family is beginning to worsen. Our postbox has been bombarded with white feathers, and our poor son has returned home from school on numerous occasions in floods of tears, telling me stories about how the boys at school called his father a coward.
The postman, who would not inflict bodily harm and punishment on innocent people. Refused.
Is it your intention to appeal for all these men?
That is for each man to decide.
Is that your programme?
I have no programme.
Sir, we have one man yet to see before the close.
Very well. Another one of yours, Mr. Roberts?
Henry James Morris.
Let them in. I apply for total exemption from taking part in any form whatever of military service on conscientious grounds, from a moral, ethical and political standpoint. Having been closely associated for many years with one of the greatest advocates of peace that the world has ever known, and one who was at all times a relentless opponent of all war and its causes, and having personally taken a prominent part in organising opposition in its various forms to all wars and compulsory military service, come what may, I shall not acquiesce by rendering any assistance towards the carrying on of the present European conflict in which my country is engaged.
May I make a few remarks in extension of my statement?
Certainly.
Having made that statement, I feel that I'm prepared to stand by it. I have not made such a statement without having any cause to make for it. I have taken a very active part in socialist politics for the past 10 years, and this has meant from time to time taking an active part against all kinds of warfare, You will agree with me, gentlemen, that it's not always easy and popular to take that part, especially when following a man like Keir Hardy. I put it to you that it requires more moral courage to take that path than to go fight the Germans, especially with the opposition that has been met at times.
You've heard the questions put to the other conscientious objectors. Would you answer them in the same manner?
I am not sure. I am not responsible for other person's answers. You'd better put me to the test.
Do you consider yourself a patriot?
Yes, very much so. I've taken a very active part against real warfare for many years. That is for the betterment of the working class.
Patriotism means a man who is brave enough to defend his country to prevent a foreign foe coming here.
That may be your definition, but we have a different one.
'Tis not mine, 'tis the generally accepted one.
I am only responsible for my own views.
This appears quite sincere. However, are you a member of the non-conscription fellowship?
That is not a fair question. I'm not asking you if you're a Freemason. I am a member of the Independent Labour Party, and that is enough.
Yes, it is enough. You don't believe in helping your fellow men fight the war.
I only wish they were coming back tomorrow, and I shall remain to do all that I can to bring them back at an early date. And in your heart of hearts, there is not one of you gentlemen who do not wish the same thing, especially those with sons of the French.
How dare you! You were not helping our sons anyhow!
I have done all that I can to bring them back and to prevent this war, and I shall continue to do so. I attended an international conference at Easter 1914 at which we discussed this very matter to try and come up with a way to prevent this.
Your efforts were negative. Non-combatant service.
I can't accept that.
You may appeal.
You are not prepared to fight the Germans.
No.
What must a man do to prove his conscience?
Go to Germany.
I protest. This is a farcical travesty of the principles of justice. These men who are staying behind to defend our liberties are just as patriotic and as good as the men sending others to destruction.
Same old story. You prefer to let others fight for you, to let others' skins be peeled to save your own. Every man I've seen has a different reason, but at the heart of it, it's this. They do not wish to take life, but they want to remain to protect the country and the homes of the people. Would you not take up arms for this? Supposing a ruffian came over and killed your brothers and committed all kinds of atrocities.
That is an imaginative question.
Not at all. It is a real question.
I believe I've given you my answer.
Indeed you have. And now I shall give you mine. Exemption denied.
Henry, remember Dad always told us, keep your head up high, dust off your worries, and never look down. You need to do that now for me, brother. Happy is the man who has not followed the counsels of the wicked, or taken the path of sinners, or joined the company of the insolent.